Hi, my name is Brandy Horn. I'm an instruction and reference librarian at the Greg Graniteville Library. Welcome to your English 101 course guide for Dr. Amanda Warren, specifically focusing on the Can of Mystery assignment. On this course guide, or in this course guide, you'll notice that there are tabs across the top here. We are on the home page of the guide, but there are also tabs for finding books, finding articles, finding websites, and to get citation help. As we scroll down, we have a welcome message, but we also have a box describing the research process. The first step of the research process is to identify your topic, which you have done by pulling a topic out of the Can of Mystery. And the second step of the research process, which is the focus of this video, is to explore your topic. Okay, and when we talk about exploring your topic, this can take a couple different forms. If you're dealing with a topic that you know something about, you can just sit down with a piece of paper and write down what you know about your topic, what you think you know, what you associate with it, or even what you don't know or questions that you have, right? Anything relating to the topic whatsoever, just write it down and see what comes out. But if you're dealing with a topic that you don't know anything about, which is very likely with the nature of this assignment, what you can do instead is just Google it. And when you do that, then you'll begin reading generally and broadly about your topic, just anything that comes up. Just to see what your topic is, what it encompasses, different aspects of it, what different types or sources of information have to say about it. I would recommend, if there is a Wikipedia entry, to read it, and we're going to look at that in a little bit. And, looking at the sources at the end to see if there's anything there that you could potentially use as a source. You can also look at things like Google Images and Google News to see what other kinds of information you can find. So, leaving the guide, I'm going to Google. And let's say that I pulled out of the Can of Mystery Saint Bernadette of Lourdes. And I apologize if you can hear my dog snoring in the background. So I Google Saint Bernadette of Lourdes, and I get a lot of stuff, right? I get over 3 million results. I have images. I've got some information over here. I've got a Wikipedia entry. I've got a Britannica entry. I've got several other things. But as I said before, I'm probably going to start with the Wikipedia entry, and I'm going to click that. And one of the first things I notice is that her name is Bernadette Subidus. And so I'm probably going to write that down and use that as a search term as well, and see if I get different kinds of information. But what you're going to get from the Wikipedia entry is a general overview of this person or this topic, okay? And you can go through, and there are various things that are going to be hyperlinked. And if it looks like it could potentially be useful or interesting to you, you can mouse over it and it'll show you more information, or you can click on it and it will take you to another Wikipedia entry that you can read about that aspect of this person. One of the things that I notice here, besides her name, and the different information here about her, but an interesting tidbit of information: since her death, Subidus's body has apparently remained internally incorrupt. And when I mouse over that, I get this link to another Wikipedia entry that talks about incorruptibility, and that it is a Roman Catholic and Eastern Orthodox belief that divine intervention allows some human bodies to avoid the normal process of decomposition after death as a sign of their holiness. Bodies that undergo literal or no decomposition or delayed composition are sometimes right? And so this is the interesting thing about Saint Bernadette of Lourdes, is that she is an incorruptible. And as you keep researching and reading more about it, we have this word corrupt. Also, we have the concept of incorruptibility. These people are also known as incorruptibles, or that they have incorruptible bodies, right? So there are all these different ways of expressing this concept. This is probably why she was in the Can of Mystery. But as we read through, we find out all this other information, background information, why she was a person of note in the time period, having visions of the Virgin Mary, the results of her visions, later years, and then her, ascending into sainthood or being declared a saint. But as we go through, right, and you can explore all the different hyperlink stuff throughout, we have this various information at the bottom that are basically sources, notes and references, bibliography. You could look and see if our catalog has any of the books mentioned here, magazine articles, you can look those up. But you can go through the notes and references, and if there's anything here that looks like it could potentially be useful to you as a source, you can click on it. Now, this is important to pay attention to because Wikipedia itself would not necessarily be used as a source. It is an encyclopedia. The purpose of an encyclopedia is not to be used as a source. It's a jumping off point for research. It's to allow you to familiarize yourself with the basic information about a thing or a topic. And by doing that, you begin reading and you begin collecting those key terms, that vocabulary you need to research it further, right? And so that's what we're doing with Wikipedia. We're just getting that general information. We're picking up some keywords, some different things that we might be interested in, and then we're going to search for those specifically. So Wikipedia itself would not necessarily be used as a source, but the information that they cite could be used as a source. So in the notes and references section, I go through, and maybe I'm interested in number 19, the marvelous preservation of Saint Bernadette through from the National Catholic Register. So I click on that, and I get this article about Saint Bernadette, right? And it does talk about incorruptibility, and it talks about how her body was exhumed, right? And they went through and basically did a complete assessment of her body to decide whether or not her body had decomposed or deteriorated at all. And they found that it was remarkably undeteriorated, which is what's led to her being declared an incorruptible body. So we have a pretty lengthy article here that talks about that entire process of assessing the state of her body to decide whether or not it met the criteria to be considered incorruptible. So probably this is going to be a useful source to me, okay? What is also interesting to me that this clues me into is that to be declared a saint in the Catholic faith, you have to have 2 miracles attributed to you. And the fact that her body was incorruptible is one of those miracles. So another aspect that I would probably research regarding Saint Bernadette is potentially the process of sainthood, like what goes into deciding or declaring whether or not a person is a saint. So that could be something else I would look at, not just Saint Bernadette herself, but the fact that she's an incorruptible, but then I might also look at the process of being declared a saint. Now, this is interesting to me, and I got to this through the Wikipedia article. So by all means, go through Wikipedia articles and see what kinds of things you find. Now, we're doing Saint Bernadette of Lourdes. Another thing that you can do, you can go through all the results in your Google search on the results page, but you can also go to Google Images. One of the things you have to find for your assignment is you have to find some images. And so this is a good way to just find some. As you scroll through, we have various things from her here. I probably would avoid, or I would definitely avoid anything from Pinterest. If you click on it, and it leads you to another source, that's fine. But I would not cite anything from Pinterest for your assignment. It had to have come from somewhere. TripAdvisor, again, I probably wouldn't use that. Maybe something like Atlas Obscura, right? They would probably at least cite where they got it from. So you can scroll through and see if there's anything here. There are various images that you could potentially use. If at all possible, you want to get to the source of an image. So you may get to something that leads you to something else. But as you scroll through, you can kind of figure those things out as you click on them. Something that I've seen mentioned is Nevers. I think that was the city in which she lived or resided. And so here we see St. Bernadette Subirus Nevers. I'm going to click on that image. Okay, and this takes me to a church in this town, right, that is named after her. And then you have information about the sanctuary, but then you also have in this tab across the top Bernadette, and you have different information about her. So you can look at Bernadette's story. You can look at the experience of the apparitions. You can look at Bernadette and Nevers, right? So you have some information about her that you can explore and see if there's anything else there that's potentially useful to you. So this being a church that's named after her potentially has information that you can use. So going through Google Images is a way to find information, but also to find images relating to your person or your topic. If we scroll back to the top, you can also notice under the search bar, we have news. You can also search for St. Bernadette of Lourdes as news. And you get these different news sources. Usually these are going to be local or regional. And you can explore and see what kinds of things you find there. Okay? And you're going to find various things. Lourdes offers digital pilgrimage as shrine struggles without pilgrims. So this is a recent thing talking about in the age of COVID. And if you're not sure how this relates to your specific topic, you can always do Control F. Right? And then we'll see that the name Bernadette is mentioned 3 times in the article, and there's one that's a tag at the bottom. So you can see if it talks about your topic in a way that is potentially useful to you. So you can explore news in that way. Now remember, we're not just searching for St. Bernadette, but we can also search for maybe incorruptible saints. Right? We could go through and see what kinds of things we find there. Maybe we do incorruptible bodies. Okay. And again, these are ways to explore your topic. If we click on all, we go back to all results, where you can look for general information about your topic to help familiarize yourself with your topic and the different aspects of your topic, different things that you might want to explore specifically. So Googling it, reading the Wikipedia entry, looking at the sources at the end, looking at Google Images, looking at news under Google are different ways that you can do that general exploration and reading about your topic. If you have any questions about this, or if you feel like you're running into you're running into barriers, you're not finding anything, by all means reach out to us and ask a librarian for help.